Let's dive into the full narrated chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Chapter 13. After the intro, hello everyone, welcome to the channel. But before we get into the content of this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss anything. And now, let's get into the video. Chapter cover, Boruto. Cover text, moving forward even without knowing what lies ahead. Opening text, Boruto was gravely wounded by the power of the 10 tails. Is there any escape? Chapter 13 begins with Jura looking down as he flies, spotting Boruto lying on the ground with Sumire tending to him. Jura says, "He was an interesting young man. It's a bit unfortunate for me to have to say goodbye to you like this. Farewell, Utsutsuki Boruto." Page 2. Then Bugs Shinju appears to Jura. Oops. Did I interrupt you? Mamure? What happened? Matsuri has returned. According to her investigation, there's no doubt someone is helping Boruto. Jura looks at Boruto and says, I see. So his source of information about Togodama and everything else is this ally, huh? So don't tell me the Togodama, the soul fruit that's waiting, was Hidari defeated? But the enemy isn't just anyone. He's formidable. But let's head back for now. We can't let Hidari's Togodama rot. Utsutsuki Boruto, you're a lucky man. It seems the heavens are telling you to live. Then we see Boruto struggling to open his eyes, looking at Jura. Page 5. A flashback begins. We see Boruto hiding, panting heavily. Two men speak. He must be close. Search for him. Boruto, panting, says, "Damn." Then a voice is heard from behind Boruto. "I finally found you, Boruto." In that instant, Boruto looks back, startled. Page 6. Then Boruto sees a small frog. He says, "What? A frog?" The frog says, "I just checked. There are 20 of them around here. You're surrounded. We don't need to kill innocents." Boruto, while drawing his sword, asks, "Who are you?" The frog says, "Calm down. I'm not your enemy. If I were part of the search team, I wouldn't be here chatting casually with you." Page 7. Boruto then says, "Tell me, what's your objective?" The frog says, "First, you need to escape from here. After that, we can talk. Put your hand on the frog's back. You don't have time to hesitate. Any place will be better than your current situation." As Boruto places his hand on the frog's back, he says, "What the hell?" We see a hooded man performing a jutsu. He says, "Kuchiyose no Jutsu." Then Boruto is teleported to a different location. He says, "But this place..." Kashin Koji says, "This is one of Orochimaru's abandoned bases on the Wind Country's border. Even though the entrances are discreet, I reinforced them with genjutsu. It won't be easy for them to find you. By the way, this frog, it's a ninja tool, right?" Kashin Koji says, "Its structure and composition are the same as a real frog, but it was created artificially. I control it remotely with my chakra. The one talking to you was me, not the frog." Boruto then says, "Who are you, really? Do you know me?" Kashin Koji says, "Don't you recognize this?" Boruto widens his eyes and says, "That mask, you don't tell me you're..." "I am Kashin Koji, a cyborg, artificial being created by Sanzu Amado." Boruto then says, "How could I forget? You're the one responsible for Aono Ochanchan's death for trying to kill Konohamaru-sensei, me, and the others. Let me just confirm something. From the moment you were born until today, are you truly an Uzumaki?" Boruto says, "What? It's just a confirmation. Answer sincerely." Boruto says, "Do you know about omnipotence?" Kashin Koji says, "Omnipotence. The memories I have suggest that you're the vessel of Ishiki who escaped from Kara." Boruto, "I'm aware that Amado and I teamed up to make the escape possible. Am I wrong?" Koji continues, "I don't know much about omnipotence, but I understand the consequences it brings. That day, it seems you were really expelled from the village. It appears that all memories of you and Kawaki were completely altered." Page 12, Boruto says, "What's the problem? The jutsu is definitely affecting your memory too. Can you figure out the situation?" "How?" "Because I knew this was likely to happen. I knew in advance." Boruto is shocked. I haven't apologized yet, even though it was to fool Ishiki. Because of the mission, I had to fight you. I'm sorry." Pages 13 and 14, I'm a shinobi too. I know the weight of a mission. Besides, I can't even explain how frustrating my position is. It's been a while living through this. As you know now, I was created by Amado to defeat Ishiki, to stop the Divine Tree's plan to destroy the planet. His power was far beyond my imagination. I was certain that once I managed to separate him from Jigen, my role would be over. I wasn't afraid or regretful. I thought I could leave the rest to the Hokage and waited quietly for death. Then we see a flashback of the events. Naruto in Baryon mode, Sasuke, Amado, Code's claw marks, Boruto and Kawaki's fight with Karma, Ida, and Kashin Koji appearing to fade away. One scene after another flashes before my eyes. We see the moment of Ishiki's death at Kawaki's hands. We see the moment when Ida uses the power of omnipotence. Then we see him looking at the tree. Kashin Koji says, I realize that if we don't destroy the Ten Tails, even if we completely kill Ishiki, the threat of the Divine Tree won't end. We'll remain exposed to imminent danger. On the brink of death, Koji says, I still have much to do. I can't just give up here. Koji says, after the visions I had, comparing them with the reality that happened, I deepened my understanding and trust in this ability. Boruto says, in regard to omnipotence, you knew beforehand that our positions, mine and Kawaki's, would be switched. Is that it? That's right. However, concerning this particular point, I was only certain after talking directly with you. After all, according to my understanding, from the very beginning, the Hokage's son was considered to be Kawaki. Boruto says, what is this ability? After all, why did you suddenly acquire something like this? You must have heard from Amado about Otsutsuki Shibai. In the past, he consumed the life of countless stars, acquired all sorts of divine jutsu, and became known as God. He's an Otsutsuki from an ancient era. Boruto, surprised, says, Otsutsuki Shibai. We, the members of Kara, who were modified and enhanced by Amado, all without exception received implants of Shibai's cells. The goal was to manifest one of the many divine techniques he acquired. However, whether we can successfully obtain the power depends on luck, doesn't it? Koji continues as we see Code, Damon, and Ida. As a result, Code gained the power of the mark, Damon the ability to reflect any attack, and Ida acquired divine powers, almost like a god. Then we see Boro, Delta, and Kashin Koji, but Boro, Delta, and we never managed to awaken any divine jutsu. However, when we were being hunted by Ishiki and our lives were in danger, suddenly this power manifested. Koji continues as we see Code, Damon, and Ida. The power to see all possible futures. This is the Jigen. Boruto says, all possible futures? Koji continues, saying, it might seem obvious, but our future isn't a simple straight path. It's like a tree with many branches, where each branch point leads to a different story. Many of these stories are eliminated in a kind of battle royale between destinies. While we see the scene where Ishiki holds Kawaki in his hand, just before trying to implant his karma in him. Koji says one of the futures that was avoided was the one where the Hokage would be killed. Ishiki would reincarnate in Kawaki's body, and through the divine tree he would plant, the planet would be destroyed. Page 21. Boruto, shocked, says, what? Koji then says, in reality, that didn't happen, but it's said that there was a great possibility of it happening. I'll give you another example. On the day the Hokage disappeared at Kawaki's hands, you and Kawaki argued, and as a result, you ended up being killed by Kawaki. Uchiha Sarada, who tried to intervene, was also killed. As Boruto looks on in astonishment, Koji says, in that scenario, there was no switch between you and Kawaki. After that, Kawaki, unable to do anything, was defeated by Code, who possesses overwhelming power. He was then devoured by the Ten Tails, and the Divine Tree, as usual, destroyed the planet. It's hard to prove what I saw, especially when it comes to scenarios that didn't materialize. What I want you to understand is that our future has been in constant precarious balance in recent years. Boruto says, it's an absurd story, but the fact that you can understand so precisely what happened with omnipotence can't be ignored. I don't want to believe that everything is the future, but I can't deny that it doesn't seem like baseless nonsense. Koji says, I'm very grateful for your understanding. But in the end, no matter what happens, things will happen the way they're meant to, right? No matter how many different futures you've seen, what's the point? Koji says, the greatest advantage is undoubtedly information to help you in your fugitive life. Let's say you won't be led into dead ends like that anymore. Yes, that would certainly be useful, but... Page 23. Koji says, or perhaps I can teach you the techniques and skills you'll acquire in the future. This would allow you to learn in advance and make your training more efficient, wouldn't it? Boruto, shocked, says, wait, this is incredible. Are you saying I can actually learn this? Koji says, there's no time paradox. I'm just passing on what I've seen. In Jigen, this was a standard procedure. Koji continues, I'll also tell you later how to save Uchiha Sasuke, who has become a tree. But first, I want you to know about the worst possible future that could happen right now. Page 24. Boruto says, the worst future? Koji says, first of all, the Ten Tails will escape Code's control and undergo a new evolution. It will manifest before us as multiple human divine trees with independent wills. If we can eliminate the original source of the Ten Tails before that happens, we might avoid problems, but the chances of success are slim. In almost every future I see, the figures of the human divine trees are present. Page 25, Koji says, among them, the most dangerous is the one with a head called Jura. Boruto then says, Jura. Koji says, Boruto, you will be killed by him. Page 26, I can't say it's in every case, but in many futures, the outcome is the same. As we see the divine tree, Koji continues talking. The course of events is always similar. In the end, Kawaki is devoured. Koji says, I don't need to say this, but it's something that must not happen. We cannot allow this worst future to become reality. As I said before, the future is full of infinite possibilities. Now that you know this, our future is changing with each moment. Boruto says, I just want to tell you one thing, old man from the Otsutsuki clan, and the planet is destroyed. Page 27. Boruto says, whether it's to stop the Divine Tree Plan or anything else, understand one thing. I will never agree to the option of killing Kawaki. My goal is to open the eyes of those two idiot brothers and bring back the Uzumaki family. Page 28. Boruto then grabs his headband and starts adjusting it on his head as he says, anyway, the Ten Tails is in my way. I already knew that. I didn't need you to tell me. I'm going to take down Code, the Ten Tails, and everything else all at once. Page 29. We then return from the flashback with Boruto opening his eyes while Sumire rushes to him. Boruto, you're still moving. Then Kawaki glances back at Boruto. Konohamaru says, the bones are intact, but probably the nerves are damaged. Sarada says, I'm fine. More than that, Boru. Page 30. Himawari begins to wake up. She says, Nishi-san? The ninja says, Himawari, you're awake? Do you feel any pain anywhere? Himawari says, am I hurt? Hurt. She looks at Sarada and starts walking. Page 31. Himawari says, let me see for a moment. Then she holds Sarada's injured arm. We see the power healing Sarada's arm and she's amazed. Sarada looks at her arm and says, no way, it's healed. Kawaki watches the situation in silence. Konohamaru says, what's happening here? This? Himawari says, since the wound was small, I think with this everything will be fine. Then Sumire says, Himawari-chan, Boruto-kun too, please. Himawari says, Boruto, you came back. Kawaki then says, wait, Himawari, don't get close to him. Page 33. Ni-chan, Sarada, nervous, says, Kawaki, you. Kawaki then says, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't heal him, but before that, there's something that needs to be done. Right? Professor Konohamaru. Sarada says, what? Konohamaru then says, that's right, it's a unique and perfect opportunity, this right here. Sumire says, Professor, what? Sumire, Konohamaru pulls out a shackle and says, don't worry, we won't do anything rough. It's a sealing shackle made by Amado. With this, we won't allow him to use any jutsu. Sarada says, Professor Konohamaru, don't argue, Sarada. It's a necessary measure according to the rules. Then, Kawaki puts his hand inside Boruto's cloak and finds the frog. Kawaki looks at the frog and says, this guy, Kokujo. Then the frog disappears in his hand, or he breaks it. Konohamaru says, "What was that?" Kawaki says, "No, nothing." We see Kashin Koji saying, "This will complicate things." The scene changes and we go to where the Shinjus are. We see the black square and the thorny fruit in the middle of it. Then a tree trunk wraps around the fruit. Page 36. Then we see Hidari being recreated. Juro says, "There's no problem, right?" "So? Left." Hidari then says, "I don't know. I don't know." Juro then says, "So that's how it is. It seems you still have self-awareness as left. There's no problem. Your identity remains intact." Matsui says, "Juro, that's enough, isn't it?" Mats37. "Look at that. She's talking about the new thorny soul fruit. I'm looking forward to seeing soon what kind of person will appear, right?" Page 38. The chapter ends with Shinju Matsumi pulling the fruit with him, while Juro says, "I need to think of a name, don't I?" End of chapter 13 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. And that's it. It looks like we've been introduced to the multiverse, and this changes everything. Let us know in the comments what you think about this. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. See you next time, and thanks. This